Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be going through my start sits at the wide receiver position. So I'm going to go through all 14 Week 10 matchups and list every fantasy relevant wide receiver as a start or a sit. While you guys are watching, if you're enjoying the content, please just do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and then you guys can ask me any fantasy questions down below, and I'll be responding to every single comment. But let's just jump right into the Thursday night game where we have the Ravens traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. And for this Ravens team, Marquise Brown continues to produce as a fantasy wide receiver one, so he is a locked-in start. I'm going to be sitting Rashad Bateman. I really like the player, and I think he's a solid waiver wire pickup, but he just hasn't done enough where I would want to comfortably throw him into my starting lineup. On the other side, with the Dolphins, when Devontae Parker is out, Jalen Waddle plays like a borderline wide receiver one. It's pretty crazy, but it kind of makes sense. If he's the only super relevant wide receiver in that offense, he's obviously going to get volume, but the fall off is just so severe. So with Devontae Parker on IR, Jalen Waddle is definitely someone that you can trust in your lineup. Then moving on to Sunday, we have the Bills taking on the Jets. And for the Bills, I feel comfortable starting Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Emmanuel Sanders. I know they're coming off of just an abysmal game against the Jaguars, but this is a Jets defense that is not solid. The Bills should be able to run through them, and I think all three of those wide receivers can be supported in this one. On the Jets side, this is just a tough matchup against a really top-tier Bills defense, and they just have a lot of wide receivers who could be relevant, guys like Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Jamison Crowder. I feel like if Corey Davis returns, it really just muddies the water here even more, and I wouldn't trust any of these guys. I'd say if Corey Davis was out, maybe you could plug in Elijah Moore. He's been showing out the last 2 weeks, but I kind of just want to see one more solid game out of him before I throw him in. So right now, I'm just leaning towards sitting all three of these Jets wide receivers. Then we have the Buccaneers taking on the Washington football team, and for the Bucs, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, locked in starts. Same thing with Antonio Brown if he is healthy, but it doesn't seem like it's a for sure thing that he does play. I think a lot of people, including myself, expected that with the bye week in week 9, he would be ready to go here in week 10, but apparently he is still in his walking boot, so we'll see. But if he does end up playing, I would trust him in my lineup for sure. And then for the Washington football team, Terry McLaurin is a start. Definitely hasn't been living up to, wide receiver one potential, but has still played well. He's going to get a lot of volume, and this Bucs secondary is just not super scary, so he is still in your lineup. Falcons Cowboys is up next, and I'm actually just going to be sitting all the Falcons wide receivers and then starting the Cowboys wideouts. So for the Falcons, Russell Gage had a nice game, so did Zacchaeus. I just don't know if we can trust them every single week. Even though Calvin Ridley is out, I still think that Kyle Pitts and Cordero Patterson are the number 1 and number 2 targets. However you want to flip it around. Honestly, right now it's probably Patterson at number 1. So I just don't know if you can totally trust these guys. If they continue to be involved week after week, I think Gage probably has the best opportunity to be fantasy relevant, but I think this is more of a wait and see approach to, kind of figure out who truly breaks out. And then for the Cowboys, they're coming off of a terrible game against the Broncos, but I still trust Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb in my starting lineup. Then we have the Saints taking on the Titans, and I have no faith in any of these Saints wide receivers. Deontay Harris, Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway. I'm avoiding all of them. For the Titans, I'm rolling with A.J. Brown. I really love him rest of season. This team is going to have to be more pass heavy, and I think he is definitely going to benefit from that. Julio Jones could pick it up, throughout the next few games, but I just haven't seen enough out of him as of yet to trust him in my lineup. Then we've got the Jaguars taking on the Colts, and I'm sitting all the Jaguars wide receivers. Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault, Jamal Agnew. This offense is just not impressive. They spread the ball around way too much, and this is not an easy matchup by any means against the Colts. So all those guys are sits. On the Colts side, Michael Pittman is a no-brainer start rest of season. The man is a beast and is going to be, a solid wide receiver 2. Honestly, probably with wide receiver 1 potential rest of season if touchdowns break his way. So I love him in starting lineups. And then T.Y. Hilton and Zach Pascal are both going to be sits for me. Lions Steelers is up next, and for the Lions, I'm sitting all of these guys, whether it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, or Quintez Cephus. just not interested in these pass catchers unless it is TJ Hawkinson or DeAndre Swift at the running back position. And then for the Steelers, neither Deontay Johnson or Chase Claypool had big games here on Monday night, but I still think they're solid options moving forward. Then we have the Patriots taking on the Browns, and I don't trust any wide receivers in this matchup. I'd be sitting every single one. So for the Browns, Jarvis Landry, you think he would be the guy with Odell gone, really did not do anything in their Week 9 matchup. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a big touchdown. I just don't think he's going to have the volume to trust him. And then for the Patriots, Jacoby Myers, is kind of seen as the very reliable option, and he probably is the best play for the Patriots. He has no upside, and his floor hasn't been all that great as of late. Kendrick Bourne, just not really interested. So I'm just going to be avoiding all of these pass catchers. It's the total opposite in this next game with the Vikings traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. For the Vikings, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are locks in your lineup. And then for the Chargers, Keenan Allen is a lock. I could understand having some, hesitation plugging in Mike Williams. I'm still going to list him as a start because I still think he has the ability to go off for one of these huge games. And I think it's definitely coming in the near future. So it's definitely not 100% confident, but I do think he is still very, very startable moving forward. In this Panthers Cardinals game, I'm going to be starting DJ Moore. He definitely has been very disappointing as of late. Really not his fault. It is just because Sam Darnold's quarterback play has been absolutely abysmal. He has been terrible to watch, and obviously that's going to affect DJ Moore. DJ Moore was lighting it up early in the season when Darnold was playing well. I still think he's a solid option. He's just not, the mid to high end wide receiver one that we were seeing the first few weeks of the season. On the other side with the Cardinals, if DeAndre Hopkins is back and healthy, he's a start. If he's not, or even if he is back, I also think Christian Kirk is going to be a solid play this week. The man just continues to produce. We saw AJ Green was inactive for this game because of COVID. If he's back, I would trust him if DeAndre Hopkins is out. If Hopkins is back and you have Kirk in there, I'd feel a little bit less comfortable, but there's so many moving pieces here with Kyler potentially coming back. Hard to, nail it all down right now. But no matter what happens with Kyler or D-Hop or AJ Green, I still just don't want Rondell Moore in my lineup. Then we have the Eagles taking on the Broncos. And for the Eagles, even though I think Devonta Smith is a sell-high candidate, I do think he is still startable. I don't love it because he has been very inconsistent, but he definitely has a fairly solid ceiling. On the other side with the Broncos, this one was kind of tough because they still have 3 wide receivers that are producing. So I ended up going with a start for Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, and Tim Patrick. Do I feel great about any of those 3? No, because I do think, 1 or 2 are probably going to disappoint on a weekly basis, but I do think they could all be fringe starts. In a big matchup between the Seahawks and the Packers, I'm going to be rolling with both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Russ says he's going to be back, and that means that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett's stock are both way up. Going from Geno Smith back to Russ is going to make a huge difference for these guys. And then for the Packers, it looks like A-Rod can return on Saturday, which means he'll be able to play on Sunday. And it was never really in question, but Devontae Adams is still a locked-in start, and you feel even better about him. I am going to be sitting Allen Lazard and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I do think rest of season, one of those guys could kind of establish themselves as a solid wide receiver too, but I just don't trust it right now. You've still got Randall Cobb getting action, and neither of them have truly kind of separated from the pack. And then on to Sunday Night Football, we have a divisional game between the Chiefs and the Raiders. For the Chiefs, no-brainer, Tyreek Hill is in your lineup. McCole Hardman is on the bench. And then for the Raiders, I think Hunter Renfrow is going to be a solid start rest of season. He's going to have the volume. He's safe on a week-to-week basis, and there's just not a lot of pass catchers here for this Raiders team. And then I'm going to be sitting Bryan Edwards. He just hasn't shown enough this season to warrant being a start. And then final game of the week, Monday Night Football, Rams 49ers. A lot of top-tier wide receiver options here. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods locked in starts. I'm sitting Van Jefferson. And then for the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, start. That shouldn't be a surprise. I'm going to be sitting Brandon Ayuk. He definitely had his best game of the season here in Week 9. I'm just not trying to kind of fall into a trap here. He hasn't performed all season. I would love it if he just started balling out on a week-to-week basis. but I need to see it one more time. I need to see one more game where he's very involved, getting a lot of volume, and then I can buy in and list him as a start moving forward. So he's going to be a sit here, but I'm very willing to watch him and see how he is involved. But that is going to wrap it up for all 14 Week 10 matchups. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ask me anything down below. I'll be responding to every single comment. Thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.